Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy Kenny, and this is Greenleaf Season 2, Episode 5, and the name of this episode is Point of No Return. And this was a really good episode, y'all, so let me begin. The episode opens, Grace is trying to sneak out the house, but she's caught by Sophia, and, and pretty much Sophia's question, where are you sneaking off to? And Grace's like, oh, no, it's nothing, it's nowhere. And, I thought that was kind of cute because we're now starting to see that Sophia has changed since she's been baptized. And we're seeing that she's pretty much really fully, she's really on this path to understanding and knowing God. And it's actually refreshing to see, but it was kind of funny when she kind of pulled Grace's car when she saw Grace trying to sneak out, but she probably was going to sneak out to go see Darius. But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Next, we have a scene with Clarissa and Jacob. The power is out in their house. They only have like 2 power outages, and she plugged something up in. She had plugged in one, and then she tried to plug in something in the other one. The whole house completely shut down, and they have no power. And she wants to call Tasha, because we remember Tasha, Bishop Saint's wife. Tasha was doing all of this extra stuff, because Tasha kind of has that kind of personality where Tasha pretty much has that kind of personality where she has to constantly put on airs that she's better than you. So she's like, well, hey, Tasha was talking all this big stuff about this house. I'm going to call Tasha. He's like, no, I don't want them involved. I'm going to call Stan, who's the repairman at the Greenleaf house. And Carissa's like, why do that? Because all he's going to do is run back and tell Bishop and Lady May about him coming over here to help us. And he's probably going to tell her everything. No, you don't do that. But he's like, no, I'm calling Stan. So initially that's what he does. But actually what happened? Well, actually, let me rephrase that. He's called Stan before, so he wanted to call Stan, but then she pretty much lets him know that, look, I'm calling Tasha, and that's going to be the end of it. But yeah, they've been having problems like crazy with that house. So that kind of lets you know, the fact that house is the way it is, that should kind of give you an eye-opener to what your relationship with Skanks and this whole Triumph Church thing, what it really comes down to. But right now, Jacob ain't seeing the signs. Because we're literally seeing Belshazzar's feast being played out, where the writing's on the wall, but Jacob is not reading the writing. Next, he gets a call from Bishop Skanks. Bishop Skanks, got the injunction, and they can't build on Triumph for 28 days. So he's like, oh no, we're going to handle this. And he's like, so what, you want to call a meeting or something? He's like, yeah, at Calvary. We're going to go in Calvary, we're going to sit in until we get this problem resolved. And we see that Jacob's kind of on the fence about that, but hey, he made his bed, so he's going to lie in it. So he decides that he's going to go with Bishop Skanks to Calvary to address this with the bishop. Next, we actually see Aaron and Lady May. She's showing him around the quarters where Jacob used to live, because this is where he's living now. And we see that they're going back and forth. And Aaron is kind of he's kind of on the fence with me right now, because it's he definitely got an ulterior motive. And I think in time we're going to find that out. But right now he's kind of playing the game, and Lady May is literally sucking up to him like crazy, because I think in all actuality she probably in her mind thinks that he probably knows about that secret about Lionel and her having an affair. But also it could be a possibility that Aaron could be her son, even though right now I don't think that's the case. But he's pretty much right now her play son now that Jacob's no longer there. But I definitely see that Aaron definitely got his own agenda. And his name is Aaron Jeffries. So, oh yeah, we also see in the whole episode he's trying to get his because now he also now has a position in Calvary too, and we saw in the whole episode trying to set up his voicemail, and it just never worked. And I think it's because his ass ain't supposed to be there. You know, pardon my French, but it is what it is. So we see that going on. Next, we see Kevin and Charity, and we actually see that Lady Mae actually interacts with Kevin while he's walking through the hall, right after she's talking to Aaron. So that kind of already let me know right then and there may be a connection between Aaron and Kevin. The question is, what kind of connection? And I'm gonna get into that even more later. But we actually see that Kevin and Charity are talking. They're talking about divorce, and she needs him to take the baby because she has to go meet up with Jabari to do some to work on some art samples for her album. And he's like, you know, I got you. It is what it is. But you know, what about the divorce and everything? She's like, well, right now we're not going to say anything. But trust me, you will always. You don't have to ask to see your son. You'll always have access to your child. You know, I will never keep your child away from you. So we're seeing that go on, and the fact that she's obviously going to go see Jabari. So Kevin is definitely feeling some kind of way because he's seeing that his marriage is ending, and on top of it, he feels like he's losing her to another man. But what can he do? Next, we actually see Sophia and Grace. Grace is supposed to be doing a wedding. You know, she's pretty much supposed to be marrying this couple. And also she's counseling them as well. And like, it's their wedding rehearsal, so she's pretty much setting everything up and everything, making sure everything's set up, and her and Sophia are talking, and she pretty much mentions, you know, she's like, so Mom, so tell me, why you been sneaking out late at night? I've been noticing you've been sneaking out. Is it because you're going to go see Darius? She's like, first of all, it's not like that. Me and Darius are just friends. She's like, yeah, with benefits. I was like, Sophia? Sophia gave me life this episode because she was so calling Grace out. And Grace was like, no, it ain't no benefits. We're not sleeping with each other. It's nothing like that. But she's saying that she's been mean with him around this question of like finishing Mac once and for all. But then Sophia deals with it with compassion. She's like, I just think you just need to pray for him. And she said, and then like Grace was like, prayer is one thing, but then again, he violated and he hurt some little girls, and you know, I gotta protect you and those girls too, that he will never do this again. So Grace is pretty much, you know, on her own plan, and I think we see in this episode that Grace has somewhat lost her way because of her anger and her anger and her rage against Mac has kind of got her off her path, and we pretty much see this right now. We pretty much see this in this episode, and Sophia clocks it, you know, and I can pretty much say that I think Sophia is the chosen one. She's the one that's going to be the new minister and is going to change everything around, because we're seeing that God is working with Sophia. Sophia has now a totally different walk, a totally different talk. You know God when you see him, and you can see God in Sophia right now. So that's pretty much interesting. And then also we actually see that Grace talks to Viola, her secretary, who's Danielle's grandmother, and she pretty much says that, look, Danielle doesn't want to testify against Max. She just wants to put this all behind her, and she wants to move on. So that part of taking Mac down is now out the window. So as what, you know, Sophia said, you need to pray for Mac. Because come on now, Mac living on Section 8. Mac has literally been degraded, and he's no longer working at the church. So Mac has been paid. He's struggling right now. He probably eating Vienna sausages and pork and beans. He ain't eating no filet mignon like he was before. So God's getting him. But yeah, we're gonna tap into that though. But it's like we're starting to see that Grace is kind of somewhat following, you know, because of that. And we're saying that, look, Mac is going through it. And the thing is, Grace is not seeing that. Next, we pretty much see that Bishop Skanks and Jacob both barged into the bishop's office, and they said, we're going to do a shut-in until this matter is resolved, and we're not leaving until you resolve it, meaning this 28-day injunction. So for over a month, they can work on building Triumph 2. So the bishop is pretty much like, look, I ain't even fazed by this. He's like, okay, you want to have a chicken shut? You want to have like a little shut-in or whatever? Okay, fine. I got all day. As a matter of fact, I got 28 days. Bishop is a mess because he's kind of like rubbing in the face like, yeah, we got the injunction. So you think by you standing here and by you trying to do this shut-in, like, I got stuff to do. So I got 28 days, so you can just sit here. But I just know you're going to be out of here by about 4 p.m. And just completely blows them off. Next, we actually see Grace is canceling this couple, and, you know, the couple who's about to get married. And we actually see that the couple is very combative, especially the bride. She's very combative. She's talking about, you know, about children's schooling, and you need to start early to start their college fund, and you need to do this and they do that. Like, they don't even have kids. But she's obviously doing the most. And she's very over the top, she's very bougie, and she's very high-strung. And she's just in her own little realm. And, like, they're kind of going back and forth. And the husband is, like, letting her know, like, look, I'm here for you, I love you, but let's take this one step at a time. She's not listening to him. So Grace tried to be somewhat the mediator between the two of them and said that, look, let's just get through the rehearsal and let's see where things are. They actually, and I'm going to group this whole scene together. So they end up doing the wedding rehearsal, and it gets to the part when they have to do their vows. The husband starts reading the vows to the bride, and she immediately goes off. You don't mean that. Why are you lying? You don't feel that way about me, and blah, blah, blah. And then she just gets into a little hissy fit and walks out. So now they're in her office. Grace is trying to counsel them and saying, what is it that's going on that you don't think this man loves you? This man does love you. What is wrong with you? You're like, what's going on? And I have to say, Grace should have slapped the piss out of this woman. And I know this is a Christian show, but I got to tell it like it is, because what she did was really disrespectful and out of order. So what she says is that, well, honestly, we really wanted Bishop Greenleaf to actually marry us, because he has married my sisters, you know, in the past, and I really wanted Bishop Greenleaf. And, you know, once they told me it was you that was going to be marrying us, I was okay with it, but you were not my first choice. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I heard that you were a pastor, but then you walked away. You know, how can you walk away from God and walk away from His word? What kind of person is that? And then Grace is like, do you want me to go through it with you? And she's like, oh no, never mind. I don't think you can take the scrutiny. I'm like, slap her. Because she's really out of line. Because here it is, you're talking about her leaving the church, but you're judging her. So you're sinning as well, sweetheart. And then she just says that, well, I can't do this. And she takes off the ring, gives it back to the guy, and just leaves. And he pretty much tells Grace, it's not your fault. And it's not. It's not Grace's fault. Because she obviously got some issues of her own, and what a lot of people do, they like to deflect and put their BS on someone else instead of owning their own crap. And that's exactly what that woman did. So I was totally not here for that. Next, we actually see Jabari and Charity. They're working on some art samples for her album. They're connecting, and then he mentions to her that, you know, you should really think about pursuing music full time. And she's like, well, Cavalry pays me really well, so I don't need all that. She's like, well, no, I don't mean as far as performing. I mean as songwriting. You know, you can go to Nashville, spend a few days out of the month there working on songs, because, you know, no one can write a song like you, and there's people who making millions writing songs. I'm like, girl, slow your roll, because something that look good may not be good. All that glitters ain't gold, honey. But she said that she'll pray about it. Next thing you know, they kind of have like this little, situation where they get real close, and she's saying that, I thank you for everything you've done for me. You helped me to see myself in ways that I've never seen before. You got me to love myself again. You saw greatness in me. And he's like, yes, and I'm glad I did. And next thing you know, they start hugging, and they get real close. Like, I thought they was about to start making out. But they start holding each other, and they're just holding each other. And then the next thing you know, Lady Mae shows up. And all of a sudden, Charity's like trying to straighten up, like, oh, hi, Mom. How are you? And she's like, I'm doing fine, darling. How are you doing? How are things going? She's like, oh, things are going fine. We're just wrapping things up, It's like, is that a new jacket, Mom? She's like, no. I've had this jacket for years. I was like, you better sell it, Lady Mae. She's like, I'm not here for your BS, girl. I've already been down this road just traveling, and we know she has. So, next thing you know, we see that Jabari leaves, and she pretty much pays Jabari dust. And she goes in on her, like, yo, what's going on here? I seen you guys getting really too close. She's like, no, but I'm just happy about the work. And she's like, yeah, but it obviously read something totally different. I don't know who you trying to sell that to, but I'm not buying it. Then Charity admits to Lady Mae that her and Kevin are not working and that she wants a divorce. So Lady Mae pretty much lets her know that, look, the good thing about marriage is that a marriage you can bend, you can mold, and you can shift. But when you break it, it's a loss, and it's something you can't get back. So she's saying that, look, I think you and Kevin need to meet with me and the bishop, and we can try to get to the bottom of this before you make any harsh decisions. But if you still want to go with a divorce, who are we to get in the way of that? But at least let's get to the bottom of it. And we can see that Charity's emotional because she does love Kevin. But she thinks that the actual passion has been lost in their marriage, and she's going through it to the point that she's now kind of like throwing herself onto another man. She is throwing herself onto him because she won him. I mean, she was throwing it back on him up on stage last episode when they was performing. We were supposed to be getting BB and CC, and yet I was getting Trey Songz and Toni Braxton, or Trey Songz and Kelly Rowland. That's what I was getting on that stage. So, yeah, that's what's going on with her. But now Lady Mae knows that Kevin and her are talking about getting a divorce. Something that she said she was not going to do, that she was going to put it out there, but then she ended up telling her mother. Next, we actually see that Aaron talks to the bishop, and he pretty much kind of like, the bishop kind of gets Aaron up to speed and lets him know, like, look, both Skanks and Jacob are in my office doing a sit-in, trying to get us to lift this injunction. And he was like, you know what, don't worry about it. And then Aaron said something that was really sharp. He said the devil is the most weak when he's being ignored. So he's saying ignore him. Eventually the devil will die out. Because the devil lives for attention. He lives for notoriety. So if you don't give that to him, the devil has no power. So he said just ignore him. Don't worry about it. So pretty much we see that Jacob and Skanks are still sitting in the bishop's office, and he's saying that, look, this is bigger than what you think it is. This is about you fighting for your manhood and fighting for you. And he's saying that, look, I don't want to go through this. And Jacob's like, well, then fight for your church. Next, we actually see that the bishop comes in there. He's still kind of paying them dust. He's not even giving them a time of day. Then Lady Mae shows up, and she's like, can I talk to you in private? And she's just giving them dirty looks. I mean, if looks could kill, Lady Mae is not playing with Skanks or him. So we see the Lady Mae and Bishop talk, and she said that, look, we got a lot of crap going on. We do not need this from them. I want them out of here now. And then she also drops a bomb that, look, Jacob, Charity and Kevin are talking about getting a divorce. So therefore, we need to cover our tracks and protect this family, and we definitely need to kind of, keep, we don't need anything coming at us that we can't deal with. And then she also kind of puts it out there that, look, we need to make sure that we protect this family, especially from Kevin. And I was like, ooh, the shade. And then we next see that Kevin has a moment with his son, and he's saying that I'm never going to leave you. But I'm like, yeah. So they already on some mess to make sure that Kevin don't walk away with nothing from that divorce settlement. So they already got an aim that we're going to protect our family name. We're going to protect our brand. Next, back at the house with Carissa. Carissa does call Tasha. Tasha comes over there with her little toolbox, in her little jumpsuit with her heels, talking about something. Oh, I can fix this. This is nothing. You just making something out of nothing, girl. I mean, like, you kind of remind me of the Israelites when they was in the desert with Moses. Like, you want to go back to Egypt too? Was giving real smart aleck comments. But she didn't even know what to do. So Carissa flips out on her and was like, oh, so you immediately think that I'm bougie, huh? Because I'm used to living in a mansion and all that. But I literally came here to support my husband, and it meant me degrading my lifestyle, but I'm here. And what I'm asking for is not the chandelier and the glitz and the glam. I'm asking for basic necessities. You had that in that high rise that you live in with Bishop Skanks, don't you? Yeah. So I want the same thing. I just want basic necessities. I want to be able to have power that if I plug up something, my whole house is not going to go black. And I have children that I'm raising. So I want basic necessities. I want electricity running through my house, and I want hot water to clean my babies and to wash my dishes. Is that too much of a problem? And all of a sudden we see that Tasha breaks down, and she's like, it's not that. It's like, I don't know where we're going to get the money to do this, because the whole house needs to be rewired. So you let them move into this house knowing it had a wiring problem. So there we go to shade between Bishop Skanks and Tasha. Like, that was their knockoff house. Because even Carissa at one point had told Jacob that if this place was livable, Skanks and his wife would be living here. So she kind of peeped the game that, no, they just pretty much, as I said, they gave you a hand-me-down. And the dang on power don't even work. So they talk, and while they talking, Tasha kind of like let some bombs drop about Bishop Skanks. That he got all these deals going on, some side deals and stuff, and things ain't adding up, but I trust him that he's going to work it out. But right now there's no money. Pretty much the church is cash poor. So we now know that's going on. Next we actually see that finally, Aaron and the bishop finally decide to sit down and talk to Skanks and Jacob along with Lady Mae. So they all sit down and they have this conversation. And while they're at this, well, actually before that, Bishop Skanks and Jacob had this conversation where they kind of bonded, because he was saying that, really my passion was really baseball. And this is Jacob talking. And then Skanks like, yeah, baseball was my passion too, and I shared this passion with my father. It's the only thing me and my father had in common was baseball. As a matter of fact, I just got on the Little League team when I was a little boy. My father just bought me a new uniform. I even went to sleep with it that night. And then the next morning, my mother gave me hot cocoa, and I knew something was wrong because Mama don't serve hot cocoa like that. So she served me hot cocoa and told me that my daddy was dead, and that my daddy was Daryl James and that. So he pretty much let it be known that, yeah. But so he's saying that, so it seemed to me, so Jacob's kind of putting it together like, so you mean to tell me because of this is the reason why you're tearing my father down? This is the reason why you're trying to tear down his church? Like you're using me to tear down my father? He was like, no. I'm here to lift you up. That way of words and that way of persuasion and exploitation, because he's still exploiting Jacob, and Jacob is still falling for the bait. So while they're in this meeting, Aaron lets them know that, look, we can get an injunction in 7 days. That'll be better than 28. So, but they definitely have a plan that they're just going to keep doing injunction after injunction after injunction to the point that they will decide to no longer build there anymore. So they're playing a game. But then, and the Skanks kind of falls for it, like, yeah, you come on now, I'm not stupid. I know what you guys are up to. And then next thing you know, Jacob decides to get up and starts reading them for filth. He goes in on the bishop saying that, you pretty much killed this man's father. And then bishop's like, I didn't kill anybody. He's like, yeah, but your actions is the reason why his father is dead. And just like he lost his father, I lost mine as well. Because at first, you were in my corner, but then after Grace left, Mom was the one who really was trying to get you to see me for me, but you never did. You always wanted to keep me down, and you always wanted to kick and like, keep me in a weak state. So then he goes he turns his attention to Lady Mae, and he's saying the thing about you, Mom, is that, yeah, you had my back, but yet you had one hand on my shoulder, and you had the other hand in Daddy's pocket. And see, to me, that's the role you like to play. And all of a sudden, Bishop's like, oh, you're not going to disrespect your mother in front of me, son. And he's like, look, you guys have always kept me down, but now I'm an eagle, and I'm going to fly, and there's nothing you can do to stop me. And then after that, Skanks is like, I think we can go now. And he's like, it's kind of airless in this place, somewhat like a tomb. I'm like, Skanks, get your butt up out of there, because you're really just diving it in. And then Jacob's on a high, so right now, Skanks is feeling his stuff like, ooh, you just told your parents off, bruh. Yes, God be the glory. And then, Jacob was about to be like, yeah, I did that, but bruh, I'm not with this, you trying to come after them for your own personal vendetta crap. Like, no, I'm doing this because this is what needs to be done. This has nothing to do with what you and your father went through, so don't get too happy. But before he was really about to get into Skanks, Grace intervened and was like, yo, I need to talk to my brother. And she pulls him aside and she's like, yo, why are you doing this? This whole thing between you and Daddy, it's childish. And he was like, hold on, Grace. I don't need you judging me, because let's be real. Years ago, when Uncle Mac raped Faith, you knew what happened. I did it. You knew what went down, and you left. You left, and I had to pick up the pieces after you left. The house was not the same after you left, and I had to deal with it. And then you come back and uproot me from my job and from my position in the church, and now I'm over here. So, at the end of the day, Grace, cool your heels and check yourself. And I was like, ooh, Jacob is just throwing out the daggers today. Point of no return, which is the name of the episode. We're seeing that. Next, we actually see that, yes. So now we end up getting a scene between Jacob and Clarissa. They're eating by candlelight because they still have no power. He team Skanks, but he in a house with no power. And she's saying that, look, we had an option between, lights or dinner. I chose dinner. But then while they're talking, she lets him know, like, oh yeah, Tasha done let me know about some stuff about Skanks and his finances. And he's like, do tell. So he's pretty much team himself, but I think in a way he's going to be very combative with Skanks as well. He's not going to be blindly following him, but he doesn't know that Skanks is a clever fool, and that's pretty much the mark of the beast. He's very clever, and he always comes up with a plan to throw you off. Next, we actually see that Lady Mae goes to Aaron and lets him know that, look, Kevin and Charity are getting divorced, so I need you to make sure that that you protect this family, and that Kevin doesn't get a slice of the pie. And we can see that we can pretty much see that Aaron is not feeling this at all. He's like, you know what, I'm getting sick of this woman. But we definitely know that, yeah, Aaron has a different agenda. Next, we actually see that he does meet up with Kevin. And instead of him going in on Kevin, he actually comes off as like a confidant, where he says that, look, you know, I know that this family can be messy. I know that I heard that you and Charity are getting a divorce. I know this family can be messy, but, you know, here's a number to call, you know, for a lawyer, and they can defend you. And he's like, I'm sorry about what you're going through. So I think there's going to be a connection between Kevin and Aaron. I don't really think so much it's going to be a sexual connection. I think it may be a friendship, because Kevin needs a friend. Kevin right now sipping on syrup like Project Pat right now. He don't really know what he wants. I mean, he knows he wants his family, but he knows he's not going to get that, and he's still having these desires for men. So right now he ain't in a position to be in a relationship. But I think he does need a friend, and maybe Aaron may be that friend and that ally to help him. And who knows? It may become more than that. We'll see. We actually see that the bishop next is meeting with the deacons. He is feeling himself because, you know, they pretty much got that injunction for 28 days. And then next, you know, we also see Lady Mae and Aaron. You know, she makes him his mama's famous grapefruit pound cake. He's eating the pound cake or whatever. He begins to let her know that, yo, I know about what went down between you and my father, but don't worry, I'm not going to say anything. There's no need for that. And then all of a sudden, Lady Mae is all happy, and Mama like, no, boo-boo. No, sweetheart, because he can still use that. You know, that's his trump card. So if you try to get out of way and get out of pocket, he's going to pull that and sit you down, sweetheart. That will happen. Next, we actually see Grace and Sophia, and that's where the episode ends, where Grace is like, you know, I want to pray, and Sophia's like, I want to pray, and she's like, well, you know, I don't think prayer is going to help this right now. She's like, well, let me pray for you, because for something's going on where you, as a pastor, don't actually understand the power of prayer. So we see that she prays for her mother, and her mother realizes that Sophia has the gift. So that's my review, y'all. If I missed anything, put it down in the comments. I'd love to talk to you about it. But subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you can get notifications every time I do a video. Like this video, share this video, and comment on this video. And I will be back with you next week for the next episode of Greenleaf. I was about to say Unsung. Forgive me, y'all. So, but yeah, I will be back with you guys next week for the next episode of Greenleaf. So until then, everybody, take care.